Represento las calles de mi tierra. Mi bandera, ay, mi bandera. Puerto Rico y todos los latinos. Sonamos donde quiera.
What's good, Sports Jedi Nation Galaxy? Welcome to the Sports Jedi Network. We are Latinos with wrestling voices, where the wrestling is discussed by people who live it. Not corporate scripts, not no talking point, just real fan energy. Today, on this live stream, we're going to break down TNA's pay-per-view Genesis of 2026, a night of legacy, violence, emotion, JDC's final stands, champions stand tall, and a Texas death match that reminds you and reminds the world what TNA was built on, the era of Born Nasty. This stream, though, is sponsored and powered by Dude Wipe. Stay fresh, stay clean, stay match ready, and powered by Blackout Coffee. Wake up, stand up, and never back down. Use your promo code SportsJedi20 and save 20% off, and support companies that supports real fans like us. I am BX Sports Jedi Kev, and joining me, ladies and gentlemen, my partner, one of the sharpest minds in the wrestling game, the one and only PGA's Chris. Take us in, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, Genesis last night. Look, we talked about it yesterday on Weekly Wrestling before Genesis that they needed to have a good show. A good show. It didn't have to be great. It didn't have to be perfect, but it had to be, better than the AMC debut. And I think it was. Obviously, it's a pay-per-view. Didn't go too long. I think it flowed pretty well. I watched it this morning, so maybe it flowed better for me because I didn't have to go through everything. I could skip whatever I wanted to skip, right? But I think for even, just if I was watching it live, I saw everyone, you included, but like just seeing like, oh, this person's live. It looks like you guys all were on for like 3 hours or something. So that's like a SmackDown, right? It's like a little raw, over raw. So the show flowed well. I didn't think it was too long. Some things I liked, a lot of the things I liked, some things I didn't, and some of the few of the matches, which we'll talk about. But I see a lot of people grading it on social media an 8 out of 10. And I honestly think that's a fair. I think that's a fair grade.
All right, interesting enough with that. To me, this is my take. Watching Genesis on the live watch along from the pre-show, we're gonna go right into it. We're gonna review match per match. Not too long. We're gonna give our thoughts. All in all, as a whole, as the pay-per-view, I want to know, where did we find any flaws other than having the panel that comes out there and one guy who's a radio host is chasing the hug, and other than that, I don't know. I thought this was 3.5 hours of entertaining, nonstop action, like they say, We're going to break into this breakdown. But first, don't forget, hit that like, subscribe, and the notification bell. Happy Sunday to you, Daniel Barris Sports Highlight 5851. Salute to you, man. I wanted to say that. He always comes on, always gives us well-wishings whenever he starts off the podcast or any of our shows. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Right, right off the bat, when I started the stream, I turned on the computers, get everything ready. You know how we have a whole setup, a whole production just to do our watch alongs. And when I go to YouTube on the TNA page, on the graphic was this graphic of a young lady that we and you have been following her career, cheering and seeing her story. If you watch her story and know about her from New Jersey, the inspiration of John Cena's final match, and then to see her announce and seeing her face, her name, posted on the pre-show on Genesis. I'm talking about Vicious Vicki. We were so genuinely, at least myself, was very genuinely happy, joyful, cheerful, excited to see the opportunity. Because one thing that me and you've been screaming on a soapbox about, enough with the social media influencers thinking they could go in the ring, which they can, but don't like the fact they're leapfrogging these hardworking, ambitious, hungry, driven, independent wrestlers that are doing this and grinding because this is what they want to live a dream. And that's why we get so uber enthusiastic and so excited to see them in the spotlight. So when I saw that, Chris, I was very excited and happy for her and for the independent scene, period.
Look, she's somebody that does it the right way. Like I've been trying to express to to everybody. I like, not just Vicious Vicky. We her specifically because we like her. We really do like her. She's phenomenal. But I think this just shows that these independent wrestlers, they're not nobodies because social media, like Kev really put me on to Vicious Vicky. I wasn't too familiar with Vicious Vicky until Kevin really, put me on to her. And I feel like we talked a little bit about this off air where like she got a more genuine reaction for people being excited and happy for her than a fucking YouTube clown like BDE. Because people I've seen, like Kev and I've seen her. We know how she grinds on the independent scene. She wants to be there. She's not there for more publicity or anything. She genuinely wants to be there and work. So I liked it. And what a way to make your TNA debut with tagging with Indy and going against Tessa. And Mila Moore is another up and coming. So it's not like she's in the ring with all these people that are going to make her look out of place. I think it balances well for both teams, right? Mila Moore and Tessa, Indy and Vicky. You got the veteran, you got the up and comers. I thought it worked fine. I thought it was the best pre-show match on the card.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. I want to just give you my thoughts before we start writing down the card with the ladies. For like Vicious Vicky and Mila Moore, even KJ Orso, formerly known as Fuego del Sol. We had to give the male the love as well. To see all those men, and women, no one sees their years of grinding, their countless miles, their sacrificing, working 9 to 5 and then going in there and that hard work, the tears and the blood, the sweat that they have drop, not just because like, share, and subscribe, and and you're doing something goofy on a YouTube channel, and you think you earn and jump that line to get in the ring. That's what bothers me. That's why we're so passionate, because I never inspired and nor I do care to want to get in the ring. I am happy where I'm at, watching it and covering it and speaking about it and just supporting it with my finances, my time, and my energy. I don't need to get in the ring. God bless if they want to do that, so forth. But my point is, these people really are hungry and ambitious, and it's great to see that. And we'll go right into it, because I thought, the opening contest was the Fatal 4-Way for Stax TNA International title. Listen, I know they needed to give us some pre-show. The international title, did they take, in your eyes, being in a pre-show, did it drop it down a peg, like for the importance?
This is one of the matches. This is one of the two matches that I didn't sit well for me. Not that it was bad. Okay. So this is just my personal. I might be just nitpicking it too much. The match was fine, but for me, I felt like Eric Young should have got a lot more of screen time, offense, and just been showcased more. It felt like they were trying to get us to remember KJ Orso, formerly Fuego del Sol. And, they gave a lot of the screen time to the B, which I'm not going to go on a whole rampage about BD. I'm not. He wasn't bad. I've said this. He wasn't bad, but I just, unless they're building something in the future towards BDE and Stax, I mean, those two to me felt showcased the most when it should have been Eric Young and Stax. Because I think that's where the future of the title is going to go if Steve Macklin's not in the picture, and it should. Because I'm a little upset because with this match, I am, because Eric Young should be your international champion. I don't know why Stax is your international champion. I know why Stax is your international champion, but I don't know why he's going against Shiloh or Fatal 4-Way matches. Can we have? I just want to see him and Eric Young. Now that's just a personal pet peeve that it's stupid, but I really feel like Eric Young should be the face of that international championship scene. Again, BD going out there, kicking him, and then hitting him with the selfie like this. I hated it, because what are we doing here? That he's a pillar of that company right now. But again, unless they set it up with BDE and Stax, which, I mean, if they do, BDE's he's officially a contracted TNA wrestler, so I'm not going to hate it. I would want to see BDE kind of go through some other adversity before getting a one-on-one match with Stax, if that makes sense. But it wasn't a bad match. It's just I felt like, should have been. I felt like the wrong two people got showcased the most. That's all. I'm not saying you don't showcase your champion and Ariana Grace and what they're doing. No, you got to do that. But I think the main focus here should have been Eric Young, BDE with Fuego Eric Young and Stax with BDE and KJ kind of doing their thing, but those two are the focus. I don't know. That just would have been me, but it wasn't a bad match at all, was it?
First and foremost, for BDE, he's got to make sure he doesn't slip coming out from the ramp because he fell. He slipped.
You saw, yeah, and yeah, I saw that.
I mean, it happens to anyone, you know.
Right. And he's excited. He got the adrenaline. He's running. I'm not gonna hate on him for that.
You know, it's the Fatal 4-Way match that opened up nonstop. It was a nonstop chaos with all four competitors locking in. And of course, the title was the optimistic fashion. You know, it's international. But here's the one thing I have to ask. That international title feels more like a digital media title, because if they're going to put it on TNA, on YouTube, you know, why did we go all out to rename and repackage that title? Because it kind of feels like a digital media title. You know, that's the origin of that title.
Great way to say it.
Yeah. But I like to see KJ Orso back, believe it or not, because the young man has a look, especially if you're losing athletic wrestlers like the Rascals. You got to fill that void. You got to bring in a guy like him into the fold. Hopefully this is a tryout where they're going to offer him a contract, even if it's a short-term deal for KJ. I hope that's something in the future. They need male wrestlers, you know, because then we can't have people complaining about all the NXTs participating on TNA television. There's a lot of these people that on our chat that resist that, which I kind of like it, because I think it gives both shows energy when you have the collaboration with both TNA and NXT, but some people don't. Some people are old-fashioned. So bring in independent wrestlers like a KJ Orso. I liked it. The opportunities. I love the power driver spot. You know, the spike power driver spot. Eric Young and KC Orso. I like the way they broke the pin. The phone stuff. It's a modern time. It's gonna sound like an old man. Get off my lawn. I have no problem when Logan Paul does it. But when Logan Paul is doing it, he's doing it in the top pinnacle of all sports and entertainment, is WWE, where they have the top-notch coaches in the world teaching him. And if they okay that spot, they know that it's done well. No disrespect to Sami Callihan and his school as a coach. I believe he's a hell of a coach. Again, it's not a disrespect or slight, but he's not the pedigree or the track record of Callahan is not there. Like if someone in WWE were to teach that to a Logan Paul, that's a different thing. But they're trying to add their own flair, their own style. I can't get too much on it. Get off my lawn. I thought the match was very well done. I like the fact the way Stax came in and stole the pin, retains his international title going forward. That's the storyline here with Santino Marella. He's looking for a champion to defeat his son-in-law. Who is going to step up? That's the storyline here when it comes to the international title with Santino Marella. I don't know if that's going to happen on TNA television or NXT television. That's the only thing that I'm a little bit fuzzy or concerned. That international title has to be taken on TNA television with Santino rejoicing when that happens. That's that's the whole payoff of this whole international title run. We'll move on to this one and we go right in. They did their backstage stuff, of course. They showed us how they got. See, the TNA, I got to give them credit. That storytelling. God, I wish it was done on AMC, but it happened already. We're not going to harp on that too much today, Chris. They showed us and explained. They gave us the why this matches came to fruition when it became a knockouts tag team match. Why you saw Tessa along with Mila as well with Victoria got a little bit disrespectful with some people in the back. You saw our friend La Salvadoreña, Miss Alejandra La Leona was there, of course. So was Vicious Vicki doing the right thing, introducing herself to talent, disrespectful with the heel women. Out comes Indy Hartwell, I've always say the people's champion. If you know her in the PC era, she's that type of woman. They make the match. We were genuinely happy. It kicks off with a wonderful introduction for Vicious Vicki. You heard the reception, the pop. It's her standing next to Indy Hartwell. Next to her, I got female versions of skyscrapers, tall women. Tell me you put that in the knockouts division for your tag team. That hits. I hope and I want to talk about the match.
Mhm.
You know, Vicious Vicki was the one working the workhorse in that match to get to Hartwell's hot tag, which is naturally because Indy's the one over right now in TNA. Everyone knows her. Vicky's trying to let us know who she is and tell the world I have arrived. I thought her selling, her facials and sellings were phenomenally on point. I kept telling that you could hear the art, you could see in her face the art of the struggle when they did the camera shots. You see it in her building up to that, getting us invested to when Indy Hartwell gets that hot tag to explode because she went through that. She told that story on the mat, taking the punishment from both Tessa and Mila Moore. Mila Moore, again, I think being with Tessa is going to only help her even more as well, learning how to work the heel crowd, how to get the boos, how to get the dislike, and working as a heel it's just giving her a tremendous boost on the TNA roster. Good person to put her on the wings. Regardless if you don't like Tessa or not, that's the right heel. If Mila Moore, where her look is going to be a heel going forward on the TNA Knockouts division, you got the right lady guiding her under her wings. And of course, and Victoria, believe it or not, being with there in that group helps as well. A veteran, you know, she has done mistakes in her past where hopefully the voice of reason will tell her, no, this work this way to Mila and so forth, and the Knockouts division. So I like the match. I like the fact that Tessa gets the victory and on Vicious Vicki. That's not wrong. It's not about wins and losses. It's about that moment and what wrestling did. And I loved it, Chris. I bravo. I hope when that night is over, those two contracts are there for KJ and for Vicious Vicki. I hope I see them in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, I don't really know what to add on that. I think you nailed it on pretty good. I would just kind of piggyback off of, you know, I think this was a really good debut for her in general. This is how you would debut somebody, I think, because she's in the ring, like I mentioned earlier, right? Her tag team partner is Indy, like you said. Indy's the you know, the big baby face, right? She's getting the tag to her. I like that, but I think that what I really liked that I took notice watching is kind of like you said. I liked that Mila Moore and Tessa, a lot of double teams on Vicky. They wouldn't even let her do anything. I mean, for a while there when she got tagged in, it really it was a good message because it was like, you know, Tessa and Mila are like, welcome to like the big leagues and whatever. And she's kind of, you know, Vicious Vicky's trying to fight her way to tag Indian in the match, and you see her, you know, do that. And I think, you know, you can hear by the crowd too, they were really behind her. But I think that's how you just debut somebody in general, that might not have the full-on television experience like a Vicious Vicki, but she's in the ring with people that could, you know, make her look good. And she's not that they need to make her look good, right? Because Vicious Vicki did a great job on her own, but you know, you need a dance partner. And she had really good dance partners there. And I loved the double teams because, again, that rallies behind your new signing, hopefully. And social media is really happy with Vicious Vicki. So hopefully TNA sees that and gets going, like Kev said. But I agree. I thought it was just a great way to debut a new knockout like that. Bravo.
Yeah.
I think it was better than the Fatal 4-Way match in the pre-show. I liked it a lot.
I could tell you, I agree with you on that because you know, we know the story is Santino and Stacks.
Right.
That's the story there. But this story here, where you know why I got excited the most?
Storyline in the match.
We had also the Elegance brand come out. Your Knockouts tag team champions come out, getting into it with Indy Hartwell, where this tells me Indy needs a tag partner. Now,
right.
They could easily go the cheaper route, or not the cheaper route, the safer route, and have Indy team up with Jody Threat. Jody Threat is a world champion, you know, a Knockouts tag team champion, multiple time and very decorative. But maybe Jody Threat wants to do something singles related, you know, get that, you know, singles knockout championship in her belt. You know, maybe she's been there, done that with not tag team knockouts. You know, I don't know what they're thinking, creative their plans, but they're telling us that they could use, they want to revamp the Knockouts division, especially with speculation that the Iconics, the Inspirations have left the company. They need more tag teams. you've got now this emergence of the Diamond Club, which I call them the Diamond Club, which is Tessa, Mila Moore, Robert Stone, and Victoria
That's
Crawford.
actually a good name for them.
That sounds like a real good one for them.
Yeah.
They're force, and also you see the Elegance brand, where now you have Mr. Elegance going on, and also with the Consigliere. I don't know if Ash is in and out. I guess she's just going to be one of those type of hype type of ladies with the group. But my point is there's a nice little fashion with when it has women knockouts. I think if TNA doesn't have any views as indie right now as top knockout, maybe that's a get her going and help out or bring in a Vicious Vicki so they could go for knockouts. Both of those ladies aesthetically standing in the ring together as a team were like, damn, that's a nice team. I'm like, yeah, you stand there next to Soul and Zarya, which they were on the card. Yeah, I want to see that aesthetic wise. Now they don't. It's when the bell rings is a different story, but aesthetically, she checks the box. So bravo! I hope we get some great news from Miss Vicious Vicki in the coming days. We'll keep you posted if there is, and so forth. So the pay-per-view starts. Let me ask you. It's a tough question because we could be a little bit recency bias or bias. If you were contemplating, with the disappointment, underwhelming AMC debut, and then you get to watch this kickoff show on YouTube that was, at no cost. Were you enticed to want to pick up and order this PLE or
just based off those two matches?
Yes, be brutally honest.
I mean, it's a tough one. It is a tough one to answer because you don't get. It's not like they gave you anybody that's like wow, like on the pre-show and again, I don't think the panel did a good job of necessarily. I thought they were all over the place, kind of talking to each other, but they gave you backstory. They showed a lot of vignette during that pre-show. And Gia Miller, even though she sounded kind of delayed sometimes, I don't know if it was hearing or whatever, she told you what was going on with all the matches. Same thing with Tommy, which I criticize him being there, but I guess that's one of the benefits of him being there, right? He could really tell you what's going on without telling you what's going on, which you could view as a bad or good thing sometimes. And the match we just talked about with Vicious Vicki and the girls were good. So I would say yes. But I would be going into it like, okay, well, they better not make me waste my $40.
Okay, fair. That's a fair assessment.
And they didn't do that, but and it was a good show overall. But that's what I'd be thinking if I'm new. I'm like, okay, they didn't give me much on this pre-show. They gave me a good match. They gave me two decent matches, one good match that I understood kind of the story in the match, and the pre-show panel. I would say yeah. I would say yeah. But again, like I said, it would be one of those things where let's hope I didn't waste my money. What up, Chris Denver? Hope you enjoyed hope you enjoyed the show yesterday, brother.
All right. So we're gonna get right into it. The show kicks off. There's still a 10% off if you have not signed for TNA Plus app for the top notch. There's 10% off. There's a promo code on the TNA side.
That's for the annual plan, right?
For the annual plan. Yes, the annual plan. Instead of getting the individual pay-per-view, if you believe in the company like we do and we're behind it, and you're going to invest in TNA, the annual plan is the best way to go.
It is the best way to go, dude.
You get to see the library.
You get to see everything, the library, bro, and the pay-per-views, like because Genesis, Slammiversary, and Bound for Glory, you're gonna have to pay for them if you don't have the annual or the VIP, whatever. So, dude, someone like me that couldn't watch the show live, literally go on it right after, start it from where I want, watch the whole thing. TNA Plus is a freaking blessing, bro.
Yeah, and you get to see that, and also different things like when they did the Fade of Black for Slammiversary. If you were a VIP, you got to see it early. I'm not sure everyone got to see it, of course, and all that stuff. There's perks when it comes to that. When it comes to the TNA Plus app, take a look. That's up to you. Everyone. I can't tell you how to spend your money in your wallet these days because everything is tough. So the pay-per-view kicks off and the right. I thought this match was the right match to start off because this is a feud. AJ Francis taking on the one and only Rich Homie Swan. I like Rich Homie Swan. Came out like a
Homie Swan.
male cheerleader.
That's
Yeah, I like to go switch Homie Swan, man, because he looked like he looked like someone I could be.
Well, because there was a rapper named Rich Homie Quan. So
nah, but you know why I say that?
Rich
Because
Homie
I can
Swan,
see
that's
me
funny.
being really good friends with Swan. Like really cool. Like if I
Yeah.
get to him, I'm like, yo, this gonna be my homie, man. I right. He's that type of guy. He looks like it, man. I like to call him Rich Homie Swan, man, because
That's awesome.
he put on a fucking banger of a match. So I had to use the F word because that's what it really resonated. Him and AJ Francis. You had the classic David Goliath, big man, little man. It still works. The classic still works. It no matter what year you're in. The move sets that the Canadian Destroyer that was placed by Rich Swan on AJ Francis in the middle of the ring. I mean, AJ hits him also when he dove off the top rope and the spear that AJ Francis nailed Swan and it's not coming back to current, but how safe the quick and it's like oxymoron. He delivered a spear in the air with a shoulder tackle safely because you see how he turned his body. He didn't land his big body on Swan. Kind of turned sideways. It was done to perfection. The physicality clashes between these two men were phenomenal. We were entertained. I think it was like 17 to 18-minute match. All in all, you had to have AJ Francis go over strongly with the down payment for the victory, but Swan did not stop reminding us he is a former TNA World Champion, X Division Champion, and he is a force still in 2026.
I love Rich Swan. I thought he phenomenal. I love everything that guy does. But I'm going to shift my attention to AJ Francis for a second. He needed to be featured on the AMC premiere. I mean, and this might be a hot take to some people. He needs to challenge Mike Santana for the world title. How is AJ Francis not on top of the card? He is easily the best heel in that company. Maybe you could put Ali, Frankie, but AJ Francis is phenomenal. I loved this match. Obviously, like you said, a classic, babyface versus heel, big man versus little guy. AJ Styles. AJ Francis in that Styles clash was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that AJ Francis does in the ring since he's been a heel, it's not just it's funny. It's like it's entertaining. I mean, he's really good at being a heel, and he could come off very corny at sometimes. Absolutely. But he is very funny, and he could start off very corny and then just right away just go all into you as a heel. And I love it. And he's such a cool dude in real life. So it's great. I mean, it's great. He needs to be on top of the card soon. This was a great match to open the show. It is the right win. I think Rich Swan, he's going to be a big factor in that X division moving forward. If there is speculation, with Leon possibly not being there for much longer, maybe WWE buys out Leon's contract, kind of like they did with Joe, because I think Joe had something. I don't think he was supposed to leave when he did. So maybe WWE buys out his contract or something. So I can see Rich Swan kind of being that. And we talked about earlier, when you talked about you hope that what's his face? KJ Orso, Fuego gets signed. I think he would be a good X Division guy too. Him and Rich Swan could have good matches for that, division. Which I feel like the division now is kind of like just you fight for the title. So I hope that, Rich Swan gets in there. But AJ Francis needs to be on top of the card. Loved that this was the opening match, and both guys put on a great, great show.
This match and the match that we're going to talk about next, to me, I felt you could argue and you could kind of say these two matches could be either a number one contenders match. If either one of these two wrestlers stake a claim, you could say, okay, this was a kind of a number one contenders for the TNA World title, where AJ Francis takes on and beats Rich Swan, and now I'm talking about Elias versus Mustafa Ali. Now that match started off where it could easily be another one that, no bones about it. Mustafa Ali did media tour, last week before AMC, and he pretty much wants to call out Mike Santana. He don't believe in Mike Santana's title reign, kind of challenging him, kind of, a little bit of disrespect. We all know that they had the feud of the year or the match of the year last year at Rebellion. These two had a great storyline in that early part of 2025. Could they rekindle it now with TNA World Title on the line? I think a lot of people in TNA will be excited to see that. But first, he had to get through Elijah. Going back and forth, this match, what does Mustafa Ali shows you all the time? Wherever he has gone, he makes the best out of his moments. I mean, because the Ali's targeting Elijah with calculated precision. I mean, throughout the match, the taking advantage of the distraction, though, of the Order 4, the numbers games, we knew that was going to be the name of the story, where Agent Zero, where Elijah looks like he's got the victory ready to go, and Agent Zero pulls the female referee out, and she ejects all three out of the four members of the Order 4. But Tasha Steele's still around, and Tasha Steele's caused that momentary of a distraction where Elijah gets hit by a Mustafa and he gets pinned for the 1, 2, 3. Your thoughts of possibly being a number one contenders, either AJ Francis or Mustafa Ali?
I think it has to be Mustafa. I mean, this was a great match. No, it was a good match to forward the feud. My only thing with Ali, he was such a strong heel around last year's like Slammiversary, and it's not that he's not a strong heel now. I kind of want to see him do more things in the ring, or like he did with Santana, like with the alcohol, like stories like that, because I feel like the last couple of weeks that he just been doing kind of funny skits with Elijah, which it's fine, but you really want Ali to be that serious and interesting heel like he was around last year's Slammiversary, and last year's Rebellion. So I would like Ali to, keep maybe if he does have another feud with Elias, I hope that's another. I hope that match is one and done, and I hope Mustafa Ali gets the win and kind of goes on to Mike Santana or whatever, because they could relive that feud for the TNA title, and they had a really good match at last year's Rebellion. I think that'd be pretty good for Ali, but I want to see him more, doing less skits, less funny skits, and more serious shit that's gonna get us because the horse isn't. I mean, that's fun, that's funny, but with Ali and with the alcohol and Santa, you're just like, whoa, like you really wanted to punch Ali. So make him that, we have AJ Francis to be that funny, goofy heel. Ali needs to be that serious heel.
I hear what you say, but I don't want Ali and Santana right away. Because
I'm not saying right away. I'm saying
I would love that for
I'm telling you opponents Santana in the future.
But I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
Because I the reason why I want Santana to take on later on Mustafa Ali, because later in the year, because I need a nice run for Santana, because I think they're going to have Ali will be holding TNA title.
Fair.
And the later the feud is, the more tolerable is for Ali to win the title over Mike. Later down the road. That's why I don't want him to be the first feud, because then we know that he's not going to go over Ali. Because I think Ali has proven that he earned, and we are big Mike Santana fans, guys. You know that. We love Mike Santana. We want this title reign to go long, but we know that the championship is not going to be. It's they don't reign forever. So we're trying to say, when the title decides to come off of Mike, I wouldn't mind it to be again. Will be Ali, but not right now. And that's why I would like it later down the road.
I agree 1,000%. My only thing to kind of rebuttal with that is they're having him go against Nic Nemeth already. And I don't want to, again, I feel like I'm jumping ahead to the main event, but they are having
kind of a little bit, but that's fine.
But I agree. I want, because if Santana gets some wins under his belt, and has some more meaningful feuds where people are like, dude, Santana's a good champion. I think this could hit better. I agree 100%. I would love that. Yeah. Slammiversary, or not Slammiversary, Bound for Glory would be pretty good late October. They could do something like, I like that.
Yeah,
I just hope I just get scared because he's getting fed to Nic Nemeth already. So that's kind of what I said. I'm like, already we're kind of and we'll talk about that later during our main event, but it's kind of like, So, but yeah, no, Ali's going to hold TNA title in 2026, and there's no fucking question.
Absolutely. And here's one thing that kind of and before we move on to the retirement match, next week, I believe in Albuquerque, we're gonna have Feast or Fire with the briefcase. I'm a little bit concerned with our guy Rich Swan grabbing a briefcase. With all the exodus and removal of people, he might get a fired briefcase. I don't know. You know, um, I'm gonna put a name. I'm gonna throw names out there that I think I'm gonna put. Zaya Brookside might be one. Those that get a briefcase. Feast of Famine, Feast of Fire. Uh, we just guys that are not resigned. Some people thinks that Macklin, but he just reports as he's signed, but he's not there. I don't. If he does, he's gonna get a briefcase for a title shot or something. But and we'll find out. That's next week. We're great, so we'll find out there. But I just wanted to throw those names out there just in case. Keep an eye here because I don't know about their contract statuses. Going forward with some of these wrestlers and all that good stuff. We had the last dance, an emotional last dance. To me, it lived up to his billing. JDC, Eddie Edwards went to war. Eddie Edwards, repeatedly putting down JDC, only for him to fight back. Eddie Edwards ultimately finished the match by delivering the three Boston knee parties, turning to victory. I thought this match, first they start off with a classic wrestling match, the arm bars, the headlocks, the in-match, grappling. Then it got a little more innovative with some modern type of wrestling. They even made a little bit of a jab at John Cena's chokehold with the smile. JDC, I say he's gonna tap to be a goof. But no, all in all, I love the fact that they gave us a great professional wrestling, emotional match for JDC, Eddie Edwards. I thought it was a bravo to me. I really enjoyed it for JDC. I thought JDC was going to win the match for some reason. I said TNA's gonna be different. They're not just gonna look up at the lights, but then I go, no, it's Tommy Dreamer booking. They'll probably stay with tradition. But I really enjoyed the match. JDC left the ring, round of applause. All the babyface roster pretty much came out to the ramp. Not everyone showed up because you got matches still going and heels weren't gonna come out to be part of that. You weren't gonna get stacks. You weren't gonna get soft NXYZ because there's feuds. They want to keep that. Because the card did not finish. You still have the card still to go. Interesting, they did it the end of the match. I mean, the middle of the match, not like the co-main event. They did it in the middle of the card, but I liked it. Here's the only thing, the but. Can you want to guess what was my only thing that I was like confused and waiting?
New system member?
Yes, circle gets the square, like Uncle Bully says.
See, I know. I can read. I read your mind. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, no, I think they're doing it on Impact next week.
They announced it last night that it was supposed to be.
That is true. They did say JDC would, as soon as he retires, he would say the new member of the system. You're right. I didn't even think about that because I saw something on the bottom that next week we'll find out. And now that you said that, yeah, he did say we'll find out. Huh. Interesting. Maybe he was just so wrapped up on the retirement and all that stuff at the end. I don't know. It would have been, yeah, I don't know. But maybe, yeah, that is. So we're not going to see JDC announce the new guy.
That's where I'm at. I'm confused too. I'm with you.
He's not going to be the one to announce his replacement.
So that means he's going to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Then
he has to.
I mean,
it would have to make sense because he said he would be the one to tell us who his replacement is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. That is a little weird.
It was weird because it was like if John Cena would come back on Monday Night Raw to say goodbye speech after that Saturday night's main event. People, it's like, no, he said he was done. That's what we're interpreting, or Tanahashi returning and having a conversation, and a promo on New Japan. He was done. So that's where I'm a little bit like, what happened? Did we forget? Did the wrestler did not show up?
Is he having vicious issues too?
Or is he gonna is it Steve Macklin?
Yeah.
That's what I was like, wait a minute, what happened? But all in all, it was fine. That's the one thing I came out of it. Like, what in the world happened to that spot? Your thoughts on the match?
I thought the match was good. It was a fun send-off match. It wasn't, I wasn't looking for it to be perfect or anything like that. It was fun. I'm happy he got his flowers. I'm happy he got to go out on his own terms. I think, you know, not every wrestler of his status, and what I mean by that is, look, he's never been the top guy anywhere. He's never been the face of anything. But he had a really respectable, fun career. I mean, he did a lot of Chris Jericho tributes, like the Walls of Jericho and all. And I'm like, I won't forget their fucking feud going into WrestleMania 29 when I was younger. I ordered the pay-per-view. I watched it. When Chris Jericho was Fandahito. He was mocking his name. Oh, it was fun. That was such a good feud. And obviously Fandango comes back in NXT and gets the reaction he got. So he had a good 2025. And I think maybe he thought to himself, look, I had a great 2025. I returned to the company. Did a lot of cool things with TNA. Maybe this is where I'm on such a high note right now. I don't think I'll get any higher. Maybe this is where I call it quits. And what a great way to go out on his own. The crowd gave him a great ovation, and he earned respect to JDC. He had a great career. He's a cool dude in real life. I'm happy he just got to go out when he wanted to in front of a crowd that gave him respect. It's not like they were quiet. It's not like they were, they were chanting "Thank you, Jacob." They were chanting, his I don't know if his new real name's not fucking Johnny. So
I thought it was Curtis.
Was it Curtis? I don't know. I couldn't hear it. It was the audio was a little weird, but they were chanting "Thank you," whatever. So the point is, he did it in front of a crowd that respected him. A lot of these people sometimes go out, like Goldberg sometimes might have gone into a crowd that maybe didn't, even though it was his home area, maybe not respected him too much. So I liked it. Fun match. Shout out to JDC.
Absolutely. Great job there for JDC. We're going to find out what happens with the system. Eddie Edwards, Moose, Alicia, and Brian Myers. They're going to add a new member. We're going to get right into something that a lot of wrestling companies on the mainstream rarely do, intergender match. But first, we're going to hear from our sponsor.
Sports Jedi Nation, you already know how I move. I don't start my day without two things. Standing firm in what I believe in a cup of coffee that actually represents those values. That's why I rock with Blackout Coffee. It's a 100% American company, unapologetic, patriotic, pro-Second Amendment, and anti-woke nonsense, no corporate posturing, no virtual signing, just real coffee for people who still believe in God, family, and freedoms. Every bag is a roast right here in my beautiful state of Florida, and it's shipped straight to your door. Fresh, bold, no compromises. If you need to hit the ground running, the Morning Reaper I suggest, a medium roast that goes smooth, powerful, and kicks like a mule. Support a company that actually gives a damn about this country. Go to Blackout Coffee Rumba. Use my promo code Rumba for 20% off or Sports Jedi 20 of your first order. Blackout Coffee. Wake up, stand up, never back down. Fuel your freedom. Real coffee with real values. A bold, backed by freedom. Wake up and think free. And may the sports be with you.
All right, we're back. Don't forget, use my promo code SportsJedi20 and save 20% off on Blackout Coffee. All right, we're going to get right into, Chris, the intergender match, which is, there's been storytelling since September. We've seen Nic Nemeth super kick Mara Sade. Then she Hardies, in a certain group back and forth with the Nemeth brothers. They've been the issues. He tried to come on to Mara Sade in the locker room and in the hallways. There's been a storytelling with the turkey of TNA. We get the intergender match. Your thoughts? Rarely we don't see intergender match. Your thoughts on Ryan Nemeth and Mara Sade?
I have mixed feelings. Everyone knows I love Ryan. Everyone knows I love Ryan, and I even, I gave him a shout out, and I thought, because it was entertaining. It was entertaining because I think the feud's a little weird, but it made sense for them to settle it. I didn't expect them to have the match. I will say it only went a little over 5 minutes. Ryan Nemeth got the win, which if he wouldn't have, that would have been a problem. He cheated. My only thing is, I hope they don't run this back because of the way he won. I do not want to see this again. Ryan is really, really good at being given maybe not the greatest thing or too much in turning it to entertainment. That's why I always love Ryan Nemeth. And look, Mariah Jakara Jackson, I think she works in this because if you guys remember her coming into the company a little late last year, she was taking a lot of bumps from the guys. She was getting into it, fighting with the guys. So if they had to do an intergender match with a female in the company, this is probably the best person to do it. So I'll give that, the positive. But I mean, it wasn't. I'm not going to be negative. It wasn't bad. It's just okay. It was only 5 minutes, and probably 4 minutes was just Ryan running around being a goof. And then when when he drop kicked when Mariah was sitting on the apron like this, and Ryan kicked her, and she like landed the way she did before Ryan took the pin, I was crying laughing. But that, yeah, you know what I mean? It wasn't bad. It's just okay. Like if it would have went longer, I would have maybe. I don't know. It's just we don't see it that much, so maybe that's kind of why I'm calling it a comedy match. We're not used to seeing intergender matches on TNA, but they were both good at shit like this. So it was two. They did the right two people to have an intergender match, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
It wasn't perfect, but they told a story, and it was fine.
I enjoyed it because I knew what it was. It wasn't going to be. You wasn't going to professor match there. You weren't going to get graps in the ring. You wasn't getting a scientific battle contest. It was what it was. It was levity. It was supposed to levitate the moment because you just had an emotional retirement from a JDC and lighten up the mood from the crowd. Because everybody was like, regardless of the fact if you like JDC or not, or him from Fandango, and the moments he gave, that's exactly what they gave. And that's what they presented to us. And I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed it. And look, both competitors traded momentums. The ending came when Sade suffered an awkward landing from the top ropes that you mentioned about that dropkick attempt. And Nemeth capitalized by using the ropes with the leverage. And for the secure pinfall. The only thing is, I don't know if the referee was right there. How did you not see Ryan Nemeth put his body on it?
Yeah,
that was a little bit of a disconnect from Frank.
Yeah.
And Frank is one of the great ones there on TNA television as a referee.
That screwed up that Santana one with the. He doesn't wear the arm sleeve, right?
No, that was Daniel Spencer.
Okay.
That was Daniel Spencer.
I get those two mixed up. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But that was Daniel Spencer. But all in all, that was a great levity match, comedy, because that was exactly what it was supposed to do. Lighten up the mood and, goofy stuff because everybody was supposed, the emotion of a wrestling career, of a 20-plus year wrestling career coming to an end. And that's exactly why they placed that match at that moment. You could have easily said that could have been a countdown match and put the international. Now that we're speaking about it, now we're talking ourselves off the ledge or calling it a digital media. Maybe that's the reason why they did that match at that placement. Yeah. Now it makes sense, and I understand that. We first started off saying that the international title, did it diminish it? Did it just take it a step back as a digital media? But now as we speak about it and do our reviews and our recap, now we understand why the digital media went first. So the international title went first on that card. So cool job. Good job there. We go into the next contest, but we get a vignette with Stax and Andriana Grace appeared, who questioned her father, Santino, continued to disapprove of their relationship. Grace mocks Santino's leadership and his struggles, while Stax vows he's going to continue to prove himself on and keeping that international title. Just more, just something to prolong promo to get things going, clean the ring, all that good stuff. It served this purpose as a filler or to continue keeping that story alive. If you're going to watch NXT TV or so forth for Stax and keeping that feud going. TNA Knockouts Championship. You have the challenger from NXT, Zarya, accompanied with Ruka and Ying Lee. I was like, when I saw Zarya come out, I was like, please, for the love of God, don't switch her introduction to the Ruka's theme. Thank God they didn't. I thought Sol wanted it to, because she did the pose to want to take the spotlight for the, I don't know if that was muscle for Sol Ruka, But I'm glad they played the whole Zarya theme. They kept it there for her presentation. Her presentation in the match, I loved it. These two ladies for a code, I said this on the watch on, for a code match that was put together last second, where we saw no disrespect. Ying Lee's last title defense against Zaya was not so great. It was not a good. It was a little slow, not enthusiastic of a title match, title defense. This one, they had chemistry. They had Zarya was booked as the powerhouse that she's supposed to be. Her striking, her in power, and I like that Ying Lee used her martial arts striking ability to the legs to chop. They told that different story there. This is one of the best matches Ying Lee had on TNA television. I'm glad it was for a title defense. And Zarya finally booking how Zarya is supposed to look. And I wish NXT would borrow this and use it on the television program on CW, because that's how Zarya is supposed to book. There was times that Zarya was giving heel vibes, grabbing the chokehold in the corner, or the look of her powerhouse, overpowering the knockout champion. That's the way you're supposed to book Zarya, not this fluffy unicorn rainbow nonsense that they have her with Soruka. She's not that rainbow unicorn bullshit. She's Zarya. Go out there and have her be that Australian ass kicker. And that's what I want. That's what I love the match. I was hoping Zarya would have won, but I understand. I wasn't upset or bothered with Ying Lee retaining. How they told the ending, where Lee ultimately put Zarya away with the Warriors way to retain her knockouts title. Bravo, ladies. To me, I fucking enjoy that match.
Yeah, they did a good job of the match was fine. They did a good job of winning the crowd over, because the crowd at first they weren't there. The crowd wasn't giving them. They weren't into it, and it's not their fault, I think. And I'll say this, because we the match was phenomenal. But if we're looking at the crowd, and this, we could debate this, but I don't think maybe Ying they didn't get over with the match at first. Like, it took them a little action. It took them to see what these ladies are about for them to get into it. Maybe because Ying Lee as a character in TNA has not developed, and I'll give you I'll give you some examples. And maybe they're a little unfamiliar with Zarya, because her partner's more fucking showcased on NXT than she is.
I totally agree.
And the reason why I say Xia Li's might be a little underdeveloped in TNA, when she was with NXT, bro, I mean, they used to give her those cool vignettes. I mean, they used to give her, like, they used to show her, like, present her, like, I mean, what did they do in TNA besides her kind of, do promos where no one really understands, or just like, they had awesome vignettes when she was in WWE for her, and she had a fun character. So I hope TNA can bring a little of that into the Ying Lee, especially if she's your champion going forward into this new AMC era. So that was probably why the crowd wasn't into it at first. Those two reasons. But they worked really hard to get that crowd over at the end, because by the end of the match, the crowd knew that the match was good and it was entertaining. The ref, I don't know, the ref bump that they had. They had a ref
let's talk about that. Yeah, I forgot to mention.
Was it necessary? I don't know. I don't know if it was necessary in this match, but it was a good match. My only thing is, can someone explain to me why the Elegance brand's out there scouting a TNA World Title match?
I can tell you, because Zarya and Soruka are going to be part of that triple threat.
Okay,
triple threat on NXT television, and possibly taking on their Knockouts title.
Okay, that was a genuine question. I didn't know, because I saw them out there. I was like, wait, why are they out here for this match? Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, right there. So again, that little thing makes sense too, with the Elegance out there. So they won the crowd over, and they did a good job of doing that. So bravo to those two. But yeah, Zarya needs to get presented better in NXT, so the crowds aren't unfamiliar with her.
Totally agree.
Because that's what it felt like in the beginning of this match, and Ying Lee just needs to pop more. But those two, I loved her kicks. That kick that she gave Zarya was freaking brutal. I was like, oh
yeah. They had great chemistry. I cannot say anything. Chemistry between those ladies were freaking phenomenal. You know, the rep bump to have the Elegance brand come in, and then they kind of had a truce. Both of them, you know, Zaria Soul and Zaya Brookside, because they have a common enemy. Interesting to see where that goes. This could it be the beginning? Look, I hope TNA uses more of Zaria. If Soruka's going to get called up to the main roster, if she's and Zaria sticks around NXT, I hope they ask for her more, because that's a kind of heel or a talent that you could see in that company. And like, oh damn, she, you know, the more bumps for Zaria in 2026 is only going to further her wrestling career further. For her to just like and become also a household name. And also, what I also wanted to mention is, could it be the story that they're telling here if they don't become number one contenders or they don't win the tag team? Could we finally? I mean, I sound like a damn broken record. Could we finally have those two feuding when it comes to Zaria and Soul? I don't know. It's like
we've been talking about that for a year now.
I know NXT. I don't know why you don't see in Zaria as this major heel. There's so much freaking money as Zaria as a menacing heel terrorizing NXT television, and not corny either. She doesn't have to say much. I mean, she's got an F5, bro, a la Brock Lesnar, and when she hits it, you could see it's devastating. It's not a cheap looking F5. When she grabs those women, she brings them. I don't know. I don't see what's the hesitant with NXT creative that they don't see with Zaria going forward. It's interesting to see where they goes with that. I thought the ladies were this match again. I enjoyed it. The referee bump, could it be necessary? I guess we could debate that, yes or no. I also was like, okay. Then she, you know, Zaria had the pin. She had the victory, and of course, referee is down. For once, for NXT faithfuls, you didn't have for TNA faithfuls, you didn't have an NXTer take your title, because they would have been 0 for 3 whenever a TNA female knockout champion goes against an NXT talent. So they're 1 for 2 on that. Going forward, not bad. We'll move on here. Another match, although we had a promo in the back. We heard from Nic Nemeth addressing the upcoming Texas Death Match, explaining the stipulation and teasing a possible cash-in on your Collier Shard Gauntlet, despite serving as the guest referee. But before that, I forgot to mention this. I don't want to leave this out. When Carlos Silver was presenting the title, which felt a little wonky or a little bit raise an eyebrow, to Ying Lee, and Zaria shooks the hands of her as a good competitor. We get an interruption by Elena Black, the formerly known as Cora Jade. She came in, pointed, wants a title shot, and I was like, okay. I could have lived without it, Chris.
No, dude, it was interesting because Elena Black, like, it's one of those things we talk about. What has she done to come in? I mean, she's had good matches in TNA, but it's like, yeah. Oh, here a little echo. But
What's up?
Hey, I came into the live because I just saw some breaking news about Trey Miguel.
Breaking news. Report it.
Yeah, he's taking a break from wrestling.
Wow.
Yeah, he just posted it right now on Instagram. I saw the story and I was like, wow. So he's like, go support the Rascals. You know, I'm just taking a break and don't tag me on anything. So I wonder. I was kind of noticing that because he put that he was opening for bookings and I was like, how weird. And then he also was selling some of his in-ring gear and I was like, how weird. And then he posted that he's taking a break. So I wonder what's next for the Rascals without him.
Well, there's 3 members and there's the trios in TNA. I mean, in NXT. All the companies but the right one. All Elite Wrestling. So they're going to be, they're going to probably be a staple on the trios division when it comes to All Elite Wrestling. Interesting enough.
Yeah, thanks for breaking that. I didn't.
That's great breaking news.
We wouldn't have known. We're in the middle of a TNA review, so I wouldn't have known that. That's interesting.
No, I wasn't even looking at my.
I wasn't even looking at it.
That was a good one. Cool.
No. Yeah.
And I was gonna bring in his name up at the end of the show.
Yeah, we were gonna do it at the end. Yeah,
but not the break. But we did not know about the.
We didn't know about the break note. So thank you for breaking that to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. literally posted maybe less than 5 minutes ago. So I screenshotted
wow.
it to send it to you, but then I saw you guys were live, and I was like, well, let me tell everybody right now.
Okay.
There you go. You
No,
said
there
it
you
loud,
go.
loud and proud. So, and that's a TNA news there because we saw that he exited the company. We saw that he scrapped out his, first he was part of the AEW, but then he removed everything AEW wise with him. I'm like, wait a minute, is there a snag in the contract?
Right.
So he decided to walk away from professional wrestling for now, or maybe from that contract, and just say he's not going to wrestle, period. And maybe he doesn't want to tip his move where he'll show up next. Who knows?
Well,
Because Trey Miguel.
I saw that they moved over to AEW, and I was like, okay, good for them. Okay, whatever. But then, the more I saw, the more he was posting, I was like, there's something not right here.
And he started deleting a lot of the stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, that was interesting.
And he's not reposting fan stuff because I've posted fan stuff about him before. And now it's not getting the traction that it used to. Like he used to like it and stuff, and now nothing.
Maybe just taking a break.
Maybe he
he's
just
burnt
wants a break from everything. Yeah.
I mean,
because he did had a crazy 2025 last year
Yeah.
from injuries and all the different things.
but the way he's making it seem is not like I'll be back. He's just like, I'm done right now. You know what I mean?
Could
It's
be.
not like,
It could be. Yeah.
you know how some people like kind of like Austin Theory, and I know this is a completely different company that y'all were talking about. He just, he got injured and it was ghost.
No, that's not a bad comparison because we didn't really see him for a while until now. But with like, and we talked about this, me and Kev a lot too, earlier this year, Rain. It's like when you look at the Rascals on NXT without Desmond, it's like now that Desmond's back, it's like I'm surprised that Trey Miguel would not want to be in it because I always felt like Myron Reed was the outsider. So I always thought it would be like Desmond, Trey Miguel, and Zach Wentz that would be like the three Rascals. So like I'm kind of surprised that Trey Miguel isn't a part of what they're doing in AEW. That's surprising.
Like I just want to know. I want to know the tea. I want to know the secrets. Do tell. Spill it. Tell us.
No,
I think with due time, I don't think he wants to tip his hands where he's going. Because there's certain people in the wrestling community or wrestling owners that tend to be petty.
Yeah.
Maybe he's doing a Cody Rhodes, They leave the company, they go to indies. I mean, TNA is kind of the indies, but they rebuild themselves and then come back. So maybe that's what he's doing.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with Trey Miguel. I mean, he has pedigree. And if anything interesting, because he has maybe there's buyer's remorse and he doesn't want to say he's going right back with his tail between his legs to TNA. Maybe that's why the scrapping and being off. And the cynic, if he shows back up, you'll be surprised because it goes, he didn't scrap. If he would have not done what he does, he's coming back. But now that he shows up, he scrape everything off. Totally know nothing about him, not responding. And then when he shows up, the shock and all, wherever he shows up, is like, oh, damn, Trey Miguel's back. Yeah. So it's bravo on him if he's taking the fans for a ride. And if he's taking a break, hey, everyone thinks bumping is bumping on mattresses. This is wood and this shit hurts. People are hurt. The influencers are tapping out. You had an influencer
I saw her
crying about concussions and because she's taking just a regular bump in her brain, and meanwhile she don't mind falling on concrete on a skateboard, but she got in the wrestling ring, she's crying, high heavens. So
I wanted to say okay, ahora Trey Miguel, I don't know if you guys noticed. I don't know. I really watch them. Like I watch every single wrestler that I actually like I actually watch what they're up to. Y ahora él está de influencer. Like he's like, 50% off these shakes and stuff. So maybe he's just, healing his body and taking a break, but still making that money in another way. So I think we're just gonna see him as like a fitness person or something like that.
He did get in tremendous shape.
Did you guys talk about JDC already?
We just finished that. We just took out the Knockouts title, the Knockouts women. We just talked about JDC a few minutes ago about his retirement match.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the Hardies match. So,
all right, go ahead. I just wanted to come in really quick. I'm actually working, but I wanted to come in really quick and tell you guys the news about trade.
No,
Hopefully-
seriously.
No, we definitely
thank you.
appreciate that.
Appreciate it. I would have. That's breaking news that deals with TNA. So
There it
thank you
is.
for that. Go make
Anyway,
that bread, girl.
Yeah, I got it. All right, bye guys.
No, have a good one. I'll see you. We'll see you soon.
All right, bye.
Go ahead, Chris. The floor is yours. Talk about this tag team title matchup here with the
I
Hardys and the
loved it.
Righteous.
I loved it. I'm sorry. I could not wait. That is actually, if we could have started off with that match, I would have. This match was awesome. I loved it from the entrances, from Jeff Hardy and Vincent face to face. Yo,
Oh, what happened? I'm here. I don't know what happened.
I pressed something. My
Oh.
apologies. I was trying to get myself out. Kick me out, please, because I
The browser,
sorry, Chris.
because you might end
Sorry.
the live stream by mistake. Hold
Okay,
on.
so you want me to close the browser? I'm on my phone.
Close the browser. Yeah. I'm not on the camera. Ooh, sorry for the technical difficulties on that one there.
I got you.
There we go. There we go. Go for it.
Okay, no, you're good. Everything's good. No problem. That's what happens when you do a live show, guys. Technical difficulties. But no, this match was great. I wanted to talk about this right away because Vincent, look, dude, you remember when the Righteous came out during that one Impact, I'm like, what are these guys about? Because I'm not that I'm not familiar. I know a little bit about them before, but again, Heather, who educates us on a lot of people that maybe I'm not too familiar with, because there's a lot of fucking wrestling to keep up with. Dude, these guys are great. Their presentation is phenomenal. I think you got Vincent, who's that cool, he's like the light guy, but you have Dutch. I'm not getting those guys mixed up. Dutch is
the heavy set.
Okay,
Dutch is the bigger guy.
Yes, okay, perfect. Dutch, he's really good as well because he works. And Tommy Dreamer kind of said in the pre-show, and I'm like, why are you making that comparison? But Big Boss Man.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of was like, okay, Tommy, I kind of see that. Like, his size, like the way he kind of works, that tag team works, bro. I'm so happy they're signed with TNA. The Hardies, they made the Hardies look like it was 2000 in 1999 again. Like, the Hardies worked a great match against those guys. See, the Hardies can work good with anybody that they work with throughout 2025 in this whole indie circuit, but they really need a nice youth challenging tag team to really push them. Now, you had that with ABC a couple of years ago, and you might have had that with the Rascals. But my thing is, ABC and the Rascals, Kev, to me, they work too fast for the Hardys. Like, they put on great matches, but you would see, like, Matt Hardy sometimes, like, tagging Jeff because, he needs a, like, the Righteous work a style that is, like, it's slow, but they get their points across. They do what they have to do. Everything about this match, bro, I just loved. I loved the gimmick. I love Dutch taking the titles away from Carlos Silva at the end and just sliding it to the Hardys. Good one. You guys got us now. We respect you because you're the greatest of all time, but we will be back. That match it's my favorite match on the card. I loved it better than the main event was awesome too, but I love this better than the main event. Everyone knows this tag team. I love tag team wrestling, and that's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. That was a phenomenal match. I loved it. Freaking loved it.
Well said. Well said. I mean, the action started right before the bell. The Hardys attacking Vincent.
Oh, that made it even better, too. I didn't even bring that.
Hard start. Once the match began, the chaos continued outside of the ring. Great back and forth, like you said. I think Dutch wants an ice cream or Mara Sade's lollipop because he keeps taking on its tongue and whipping it up and down. Like, to get that man an ice cream to lick or a lollipop for Dutch. But no, I would have this different. We seen the finish where we saw Matt Hardy connect with a Twisted Fate followed by a Jeff Swanton to retain the titles. They're not ready to take those titles off for the Hardys. No, they shouldn't. But I would have loved the Hardys to gotten disqualified just to keep the and let them get in, that the Righteous are in their head. They keep their titles. Righteous gets the victory. Keep the feud alive. Because eventually, I think the Righteous might get the tag team titles. But if you pin them the way you pinned them, how are you going to justify them continuing?
And remember this: Jeff Hardy's going, which Jeff Hardy's going one-on-one with Ali this Thursday on Impact.
Yes.
So we could see Vincent cause Hardy the match, and maybe an Ali kind of, you rub your shoulders, I rub mine kind of thing between Order 4 and the Righteous, because something. I don't know, but I can see that playing out this Thursday too. So this was a great match, dude. I loved it. I liked the Righteous. I loved their presentation. It took me a couple weeks to kind of see what these guys are about, but this match showed me what they were about. Really, really fun match, man. And the Hardys, they look great. They're setting the foundation for the youth in TNA. Excuse me. They're amazing. They're amazing. But no, this was great. I loved it. Loved it.
I dig it, in the words of Vincent.
I digged it. I digged it. Dun, dun. That's slowly becoming one of my favorite TNA theme songs. Dun.
So now you're gonna be snapping the fingers
every fucking time, dude. I love this. Shout out to the Hardys and the Righteous, dude. That's my favorite match of last night's Genesis.
There you go. WWE, NXT didn't pull the trigger. They never made. They bought them
finally,
in two
dude. I've
times.
been craving a good tag team match. None of these companies have given me that recently.
That was a very good one. Very good storytelling. Good story. The different. I would have changed the finish. I still would have got the
fair.
Titles would have not changed, in my opinion. But I would have gotten some type of disqualification where the Hardys are losing control. Are these guys really getting under skin that you made the Hardys, do something
Fair.
that they weren't, they're like, oh, damn. And they win. They still, Dutch and Vincent wins on a disqualification, not just a clean pin. But anyway, like you said, I could see the way you broke it down, you could come back to it, repeat it. Like you said,
absolutely.
Jeff is going one-on-one for an opportunity where, yes, you could still tell that story where, yeah, I loved it. You did a great explanation there on a phenomenal tag team match for last night. Here was a phenomenal match, no pun intended. It was the triple threat, but before that, we hear the TNA X Division champion Leon Slater appears via video apologizing for his missing recent event due to visa complications and issues. Slater stated that he'll be closely watching for the upcoming triple threat and surely going to give a opportunity to either Moose or Cedric, because the match started and I did not know that was the Joe Henry farewell to a TNA. And because if you hear Tom Halifin and Matthew Rinwall, who does a phenomenal job in commentary, one of the best in the industries, to be in commentary, they say, what new bigger things will Joe Henry have in the WWE now? Kind of like saying goodbye. Joe Henry says goodbye to the TNA faithful and crowd. That was his song. But let's talk about this match briefly, where it just started off. The match started, and it was haltered when there's a spot there where Moose landed awkward on the steel steps, prompting the medical attention. Moose later returned, but that spot there where it's like, did he really get injured, or is this part of the? Because everybody knows about Moose's back injury, but when you saw the team doctor there. Oh, not the team, the wrestling doctor, ringside doctor there, Carlos Silva showed up and was there too. I was like, ooh, wait a minute, Silva was important. But I didn't see paramedics come to the back. That's when I said, oh, this might be storyline. When I didn't see the paramedics and they didn't bring the cart to get him out, and because Joe Henry had a look of concern, he sold it well. If this was part of the, if it was a shoot, they sold everything well because the Bronx didn't start and all that. I want to talk about that spot there with Moose landing on the stairs. Did you hook, line, and sinker bought into a shoot or work?
A little bit of both. Obviously, Moose has a history with his back, but I saw it with Trick at Slam, and no medical, no nothing. I mean, you can.
Good point. I didn't even think about that. Good point.
Tell. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I hated the finish of this match because I don't think Joe Hendry needs to win this match. If Moose is in there with that injury, and when you see Moose roll into the ring, right, and you see Alexander and Joe Hendry both kicking at Moose to try to get the big man down, why couldn't Cedric pick the win on Moose? Does it hurt Moose if Cedric really beats him with the injuries? Cedric not being lower on the card. I want him to be the X Division champion after Leon. Does it really hurt for Cedric Alexander to win this match here? Does Joe Hendry really need to win this match here? That's my only question. I understand, cool, this could be his farewell for I understand that, but he's only in this match because Leon's not there. So this wasn't even really a planned thing. We talked about this. They probably, you know what? We'll give you AJ for the premiere and Joe Hendry. We take Leon. We handle all your other shit. And that's probably what it was. So I don't think Joe Hendry, the crowd loved to see Joe Hendry back. It was cool seeing him back in a TNA ring and a TNA pay-per-view because if you guys don't know, he won the title at Genesis in that building. So it made sense for Joe Hendry to have a farewell match there. Cool. But did he have to win? JDC and all these people aren't winning their farewell matches. And these are their fucking retirement matches. You're telling me Joe Hendry didn't even have to take the pin. He could have pinned Moose because of his injury. That's my only thing. I did not like that finish. But the match was good.
Fair.
The match was good.
Fair enough. Like I said, I didn't like the tag team finish on the pin there, and you didn't like this one either. It's fair enough, but it's not going to take away from the story. And
the match was good. I love
the
match.
I got invested in Moose.
I got
Moose return. When Moose returned, oh man,
I got invested in Joe Hendry as well because again, it was great seeing him back in the TNA ring. I just when he pinned Cedric, and I'm like, that's
a little bit of disconnect.
I'm like,
because what I wanted to see, Chris, like you mentioned, good job breaking that down as well. Because what is Cedric Alexander's finisher called? The lumbar. The lumbar.
Yes.
And who has an issue with his lumbar?
Exactly.
I would have liked, that's why I'm with you on that there. But the fact that I saw that Joe Hendry at the moment when I saw that happening at the moment, and kudos to you pointing out Trick Williams duking us on at Slammiversary with the fake injury.
Forget that.
Yeah, I did for a moment because I was so concerned for Moose because that back body drop on that stairs was like holy shit.
But he kind of landed on the stairs and he slowly landed on the ground.
And he didn't. It wasn't like the Darby Allin.
No, it was
Wednesday.
A controlled fall.
It was great breaking down. And at the moment I got caught up or into that world of damn, he really got bad back because there's been rumors that he might contemplate retiring because of the bad back issues. Mm-hmm. So seeing that on that steps and then Joe Henry's facials convinced me, damn, this guy might have really herniated a disc here.
When they stopped the match and then they resumed. Yeah, they did it. Yeah, they did a good job of.
They hooked us all. They got us.
But there's no way I couldn't think about Trick in that moment.
For a company that had bad productions, on 2 days, and then now they do this here with the great production and angle shots. They got us. Mm-hmm. They got us there. Bravo. But then again, like you said, the lumbar to Cedric, and then when the match was over, when I hear the comment, good job. That's why I say they're one of the best in the industries on telling and narrating the story of TNA weekly wrestling as well as their pay-per-view in Matthew and Tom Hannafin and Ringwald. When he said bigger and better things on the horizon in WWE for Joe Hendry, that was Joe Hendry's swan song to TNA wrestling. Thank you. You know, he was an international star. He got over. He got people to want to watch Joe Hendry wherever he, put the regardless if you didn't like the 2 RKOs from Randy Orton, he was still on WrestleMania with that TNA title. The Royal Rumble, participating in crossovers, PLEs on the WWE platform. The things that Joe Hendry opened the doors to, along with Jordan Grace, to tell us that this collaboration worked. That's a way of TNA giving back probably to Joe Hendry. Maybe we don't understand it. Yes, I would have loved Cedric to win with the lumbar check on Moose. But then when they mention that, again, I got to give credit to the commentary for breaking that down and telling us that at that moment. I go, now I understand. There was something, Chris, before we get to the main event that I saw. I noticed they introduced Carlos Silva. And did you see who they announced Carlos Silva? I'll tell you. I'll tell you in a minute if you want to take a guess.
Who announced Carlos Silva after that match?
No. Who did Carlos Silva announce he was with throughout that course?
Ooh, refresh me. Because I might have skipped it because I watched it this morning.
There was, give me a minute. Let me find that clip.
Because I skipped the match. I just wanted to go to the matches. The only thing I saw that wasn't a match was what's her face? Sonya telling everybody to cut to the thing before the main event. That's like
Yeah,
the only,
that-
yeah. But I skipped through all the segments and all that shit. So you got to
trying
refresh
to-
me on that one.
I'll get you a minute. I was gonna take a break, but never mind. We were gonna take a commercial break, but for some reason the streamer is acting stupid here on my end. So no, we're not gonna tell you. I'll tell you right into it. It was TNA Anthem's president, Carlos Silva's boss, was in attendance. The owner of TNA, the current owner of TNA, was in attendance at Dallas with Carlos Silva. They introduced them both, and to me, the way I see it, he was not at the U.S. Arena. They didn't mention UBS Arena, where it was their biggest summer show. He wasn't at the Bound for Glory, which was their big one with the nostalgic, with all this, supposedly their biggest gated attendance. He was at Dallas. And I quickly came to me, and I think of all the other major sports, he's there for contract negotiations with talents. Because maybe TNA, Carlos Silva, and Anthem, or he has a budget, a spending limit, or salary cap, and seeing all the exodus of all the talent leaving the companies, he doesn't have maybe the authority to go a dollar over on the negotiations for these talents. Yeah, you could do it via telephone, fax, whatever, Zoom, but I think an in-person with the owner of Anthem in with these talents, I think means a lot, especially in the free agency world of sports. I think he's in there to find out where Carlos Silva is probably making a pitch. We need to increase the spending budget in this company. Look at the fans, look at the response, look at the atmosphere, look at the energy, and inviting him to come to Dallas to see the live show, feel the buzz of what wrestling, what he's doing with TNA wrestling. And we need another $5 million from this TV deal or from expending budget in order to compete in North American wrestling. Is it fair to say that, or am I seeing too much, or far fetched?
Oh man, another good one, another good conversation, because I don't. How do I tackle this? So that definitely could be a possibility. I'll start with that. That could be a possibility because, Carlos Silva, people think he's, he is the president, but there are people above him. He's not the president of Anthem Sports. He's the president of TNA and Avicta. So he has a boss. I don't think he's the president of Anthem. We could be wrong, but I don't think that's what it is. So yeah, I think they have to, especially now that you're on AMC in 2026. I think 2026 for TNA should be the year of taking risk. I do. I mean, you have your deal. I mean, not saying I don't, but it's also, you can't say what could go wrong because literally everything could go wrong. So I think they do have to be careful, but at the same time, it might also be a value thing. There are people back there like Tommy and people who, because you got to remember, like Silva and Anthem, like all these, they're what it seems like, right? It seems like they're just now flowing into the wrestling scene and understanding the contracts, understanding wrestling free agency. Like they understand how that shit works in sports and that, but this is something they're a little new in, and this is something that they're not the most profitable. What I mean by that is AEW. I'm not going to say WWE because they're a fucking global juggernaut, but when you look at AEW, right, they have a ridiculous amount of money that they're able to spend and compete. So if TNA,
I got a bad echo. Sorry.
If TNA, no, you're good. If TNA wants to compete with a lot of these, free agencies, they have to raise their budget. So that could be something, because you don't want somebody like Mike. It's one thing, bro, if these wrestlers are like, okay, like I want to go here, like with Mariah May or Jade. Like I'm gonna use Jade Cargo as an example. She said, or Tony was like, so what do you want? What can I offer you for you to stay with us? She said, I want this, this, and this. Tony said, okay, I'll match it. I got you. She still picked the WWE because that's where she wanted to go. So my point is, if TNA could get a bigger budget and can get money to spend on these people's contracts, they won't look at TNA as a stepping stone to go anywhere else. They'll re-sign with the company because the money's there and they'll genuinely want to be there to build. You know, a lot of these people, I'm not going to say that they're all in it for the money, but it is a business, and a lot of these people may not see the most money in TNA. You know, they might not be the Mike Santanas, the Frankies, the Nic Nemeth. That's why maybe Zach Wentz and them went to AEW. So, you know what I mean? They probably thought, okay, I don't think I'm going to be at the top of the card in TNA. I can get more money in AEW, just whatever. I think TNA needs to raise their budget so they could prevent that issue.
And that's why that's why the owner, that's why I see the president of Anthem being there as a business meeting, a meeting with not just Carlos Silver, but with the head of creative, talent relations, all that stuff. Listen, we are putting the efforts and the energy and so and so and so. And now that's a good thing. That's a good thing for morale if the leadership is there to back up the talents, you know, from Anthem on top, from the top. So I found that as a positive when he's there, because, you know, we didn't last year throughout Carlos Silver's reign, we never seen this gentleman on camera, on television, period. No matter, even when things were going great, even with now that they have a television deal, that they're making a lot of buzz headlines worthy. Maybe he was just there as the owner to meet with the AMC bigwigs in Dallas. And that's, you know, being part of the premiere, which, by the way, according to reports, AMC was very ecstatic and happy with what they got on Thursday. Us in the wrestling community, we didn't like it, but the network was more than happy with it because they're getting it's live television, regardless of the fact, for even negative for the moment. They know that, because here's the thing, there's always room for improvement. When you start off from the bottom, you always could improve. If you start up on the top floor, you're not going anywhere else but down. So maybe, you know, I'm trying to find a silver lining on that bad AMC show that people are saying. They could only do is improve from the first and then I know we talked about the first impression, not to beat on a dead horse.
No,
but
I mean, it's relevant.
And that's the way I'm seeing it. You know, I'm looking at that as that point of view when it comes to all that, with seeing the owner of Anthem in there along with Carlos Silver, his boss, you know, on camera. They mentioned him, they showed him. Good job there. Hopefully they have a competing budget now to keep talent like you know, that are coming up for free agency. You know, we heard that Mike Santana might not be staying long there. You know, he might have a contract coming up. You know, they're gonna have to. Nic Nemeth. If you don't think Nic Nemeth costs a little bit of money, maybe maybe that's the reason why, to negotiate and show and show why Nic Nemeth is valuable to the owners. Meet the guy, hear his mission statement, have a conversation. Is this the guy that you want to pay? I don't know. But this is just throwing it out. I'm making it out of the air. $2 million, a year to wrestle at a TNA. You know, he goes, why would I pay a talent $2 million? Come meet him and see the aura, the mission statement, see his trajectory, all that stuff, the merch, all the Hardies. I'm just throwing that as an example, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying I have any factual stuff on it. I'm using that as a fucking point. Maybe that's why he's there. So we'll see where that goes for TNA, and hopefully it looks like for the first time, you could say, for if you're following TNA, that ownership, presidency, and talents are on the same board, working together. They're pulling the rope the same way, not counterproducting, one pointing the other way, the other one pulling the other way, and they're not going anywhere, but nowhere at all. They look like they want to pull in the right direction to move toward a goal and a plan that they have ahead of themselves. So that's why we don't feel too bad with what happened on Thursday. We know that tonight, as at this point, even before the main event, I got what we saw in 2025 so far on this PLE, on this pay-per-view here before the main event, Chris. Is it fair to say this was what we saw in 2025 from TNA?
Yeah, because we saw a great product from TNA in 2025. And again, I'm gonna say it again. I said it in the introduction of Weekly Wrestling yesterday. AMC was not a reflection of TNA Wrestling this year. What they're capable to do. Last night was. So the networks, I don't blame them for being happy. It wasn't a great first show, but the buzz is there. They have a wrestling show on their network, and it's not something that just has started, right? People are familiar. If you're a wrestling fan, right, you know the three letters, it's TNA. So this pay-per-view before we get into the main event, they needed it. They needed it, and I'm happy they delivered, dude. Happy they delivered. And I think Wednesday, or Thursday, excuse me, they got the Hardies, and Mustafa. You got Elena. So I think this will be their momentum shifter going forward for the year.
Yeah, and only that, AMC really. Let's be honest with you guys. AMC has not really gotten buzz, those letters, since The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, yeah.
Breaking Bad was before The Walking Dead, and people were tuning in droves to watch The Walking Dead, Talking Dead show, and they haven't really gotten that buzz of people talking, regardless if there was for negative reaction to the TNA debut, like maybe that's just the IWC, but for AMC, I'm pretty sure they never got so many more mentions on their social media platforms than they did on Thursday, Friday, and up to this whole weekend. So for the executives, they find that as a winning, because I know what they say, bad publicity is better than no publicity at all, which they weren't getting, for AMC, and now they're getting some type. And that's not going to stay negative, because what we saw here going into the main event and part of the main event was just we shouldn't be surprised. It's not a resurgence. This has been here all the time. It was just one bad night, one bad moment.
First time going live TV, a big network. I mean, like I said, it's one of those things, first time doing something, you might not nail it out of the park. So, with anything.
So. It's like like anything, when you first rode that bike, how many times you fell and scraped your knees?
Guys, did AEW have a great first show on TNT? No, they had a great great Double or Nothing, and they had a great TV show ever since. So, it's I'm not comparing the two, because the AEW was brand new at the time, but new network, live TV, a lot of those people have not done it. You had to watch, at least give Genesis a chance. That's all I really was trying to stress yesterday afternoon, was give Genesis a chance before you decide you're not going to tune into AMC next week.
Absolutely. All right, we got a main event time. Your TNA World Champion in a Texas Deathmatch, special guest referee Nic Nemeth, who has your Collier Shard Gauntlet. First and foremost, Nic Nemeth taking a callback to the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, with his wrestling gear there, with the Pum Pum shorts for Nic Nemeth. I thought, a violent main event delivered exactly as promised. Both men ended up punishment across the arena. Of course, back and forth, wrestling back and forth. Santana channel his inner Negan from The Walking Dead with the barbed wire baseball bat. That was a great spot there. And then he put the barbed wire around his arm and hit the spin-your block. He got the pinfall, and then he waited for the 10 count. And long and behold, Santana stood strong for winning. But there's some great spots there. The power driver on the chair, where it busted open Frankie Kazarian. Frankie Kazarian got busted open. Wasn't a deep cut, because it just was a momentary flash of blood. And then it wasn't the crimson mask priority for Kazarian, but there was color in the match on that chair spot underneath. One thing I got to say, that spot was crazy. The spot around the ring, I said this here, and I hope, Chris, you agree with this. I don't know if you will, but you flew and you paid for these clowns to go on AMC to just be there and do this. No, you needed to fly us to Genesis.
Oh, wow.
Because I would have bought the biggest freaking flag, and you would have planted me and Chris in the arena with the biggest flag, so Mike Santana could go and grab it, because he was looking for this. Learn your demographics. There's not many of these in Dallas. You got your champion, who's one of these. We're here. We support the man. We would have had that big motherfucking flag there for him, and he would have been waving that shit. That's what he needed. And that you missed out on that. There is a lot of us that will support this. And guess what? We also make what you're looking for. Money. We also have money. We also have green cash. And if you make us support this guy, we will spend our cash, our money for him. I just wanted to get that rant out. Because we should have been in that arena with that big ass freaking flag. And when he's looking for it, wait, tell me where he's going to be. And all right, here. He'll take it from us and he waves that shit. You failed with that. But no, you want this. You failed.
No, dude, I agree. I mean, we're talking about learning their demographic. They didn't give him the title at New York. So I don't think they're gonna know his demographic, bro. They're still gonna try to somehow figure that out when it's right in front of their faces sometimes. But look, was this match good? Yes. I'll be honest. This wasn't my favorite Mike Santana death match. He does a lot of these great death type of matches, gimmick matches in TNA. His with JDC on that random Impact in 2000, right after, it was in September of 2024. It was a month after Santana came back from Rebellion. Dude, him and JDC was blood. It was a blood bath. It looked like some shit you'd see on Dynamite. Like, it was awesome. Like, I like that. That was, that was a great match, and it didn't. So for me, kind of watching that, I'm, obviously, maybe just me, being picky. I wanted to see a little bit more like that, but it was a good match. And look, we saw some blood, a lot of blood like that just a few weeks ago with Danny Luna and Indy. So it's not like they couldn't have given us a little bit more color, especially on Santana. But it was a fun, hardcore match. I liked Nic Nemeth being the special guest referee. It added curiosity because he does hold that Caught Your Shot cup. Dude, as soon as he gave him the zigzag after the match was over, I'm sitting in my girlfriend's movie room, and I'm like, I told Kev that fucking Nic Nemeth is going to walk out tonight. I called it, and I'm like, fuck, no. And then Santana hits to spin the block. I'm like, yes, yeah. Like, they did him being in the match did such a good job of getting us invested because you didn't know what could happen. I genuinely thought Nic Nemeth was walking out of Genesis last night as a TNA champion. We were all going to be disappointed for a third or fourth time. So, they did a good job of, because I was like, oh no. So they got me. It was fun. That's how you end the show. Not do that and have it posted on social media 10 minutes later for us to see. They did that. I liked it. I mean, nothing really to complain about. It was a fun main event. I think Frankie, he looked good. Nic Nemeth, he's not, I don't think he's going to fail a cash in. He is a successful Money in the Bank cash in winner. So I don't think he's going to fail when he does cash that in. But I do, because remember, he didn't really cash it in because the ref wasn't in, the match was over. But I said it, bro. I said, because if it'll be so stupid, I hope he doesn't call his shot in the match because he's the fucking ref and he wins it himself. They did it right. They teased us the right way because as soon as he lifted his hand, I'm like, oh no, they did it right away. Like, so good job by in the main event by everybody involved, all three. They did a good job. They got us really invested there, especially at the end.
At the end, I want to talk about the end where the Danger Zone zigzag was hit by Ziggler with Nemeth, And I asked this question when we did the review earlier, the prediction and all. I said, does he need a referee, or since he's a referee, does he come to pin himself and win it? So that was answered quickly. We asked, he's calling for a referee to get their butts down there. He's running, holding down. And I was, the only thing I wish, I was like, let the ring announcer announce that he's calling his shot, and I would love Santana to pin him and get the freaking cup out already. Be done with that already. It's annoying me already.
I agree.
I'm like, already with this cup, but the cup is still lingering. It's, to me, that's like a golden parachute in case WWE calls and says they want Nemeth at the Rumble with the TNA title, or they're okay with Mike showing up at the Rumble with the TNA title. That's my only concern. We called it, we talked about it, and we still have to still talk about it because that's the one thing, the way I perceived it, and I could be totally wrong, is that's WWE waiting. That's them holding or the golden parachute in case they want to see Nemeth at Saudi Arabia. And if they to Saudi Arabia, they'll put the TNA title to market the TNA title in Saudi Arabia. We talked about it because that's best for business, not the better story in Saudi Arabia, because they want that Saudi Arabia eyeballs, finances, money coming towards TNA, and Nemeth is a more known commodity in those neck of the woods than Mike Santana. But I love the finish. I love that Santana is still the champion. Our Nuestro Campeón from the Bronx, New York, is your TNA World Champion. The title looks phenomenally great on him. And I got excited to see the Taino War Paint again on our Taino Warrior. I love the War Paint. I love when he comes out. He's meaning business. He's ready to work. He's ready to get at it. The moonsault on the outside on Frankie Kazarian was the cannonball, not the moonsault. The cannonball on the outside was like, oh, damn, Mike, you're doing that crazy stuff. Like, let's go. It was great up and down. I like the fact when the kid was trying to go and the security grabbed him by the hood and pulled him back. Like, oh my God, I was cracking up on all those different stuff. Look, if the wrestlers are having a match, stay the hell away. We don't need to see your cara torta face in the middle. We want to see the wrestlers, man. Come on. I mean, but all in all, man, that was a good main event. Texas Death Match. You know, we knew there were going to be that much color. You know, there was color, but it wasn't going to be one of those Moxley type of crazy shit. It was fine. Appreciate you, Jordan. Jordan from Canada. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Shout out to
you.
Jordan from Canada, bro. Hope you're having a good one. Hope you enjoyed Genesis yesterday.
Don't forget to like, subscribe. We do our watch-alongs on as well. Watch-alongs, interviews, and recaps. That's us here for the Wrestling for All Wrestling News. So appreciate you so much. Yeah, this was great. This, to me, I'm gonna rate this perfect pay-per-view. I don't know where to critique other than maybe a couple finishes. So you could give it a 9.5. You know, other than some but they're not booking for me. They're booking for their thoughts. But it went quickly. It was smooth. It was entertaining. I didn't see myself. Could this match end already? I thought the pacing, the match quality was right on point. Bravo! What a comeback from Thursday. Now again, we told you. You set the bar, now you have to keep it or elevate it. You no more under the radar. Now you have come full force to the wrestling world. Take the stigma of the LOL from the IWC and shove it straight up their ass, TNA. That's all I got to say.
No, I agree. They needed to perform on Genesis, and they did a good job. Some finishes, I you could whatever I didn't like, but I loved more than I didn't maybe like two things. So whatever. That's just being the wrestling critic I am. Like little shit, right? That doesn't define the show. So the show, no, this was a good show. This was a strong show to start the year. Again, they needed buzz. They got buzz. I liked all the matches. Some of the finishes were wonky. The intergender match was a little wonky. In the beginning of the knockouts match, the atmosphere wasn't there, but they ended up getting us right back into it, entertaining us at the end. That'd be the only small, things. But overall, the show flowed well. Wasn't too long. Loved. I'm gonna say this again. Loved the Hardies versus the Righteous. Amazing match. I can actually go back and rewatch that match. I'm not gonna lie. That match was really good. Happy our guy walked out of Genesis this weekend, just in general, as TNA World Champion. And No Surrender, I believe, is their next one. Next premium live event. So Nashville. So we'll see what they do for that. But this was a great pay-per-view / premium live event, special to start off the new year for TNA wrestling.
Yep, then that's the Genesis. Hopefully this is the beginning. If you know the word Genesis, the beginning, and hopefully in the beginning, TNA in 2026 continues to make those strides that they did in 2025 and move forward. And what's next? Again, TNA, give those contracts to those two talents that were there. Vicious Vicki, KJ Orso. You also have a couple there that were backstage helping out. If there's something that you need to boost up that roster, Let's go. They're there. They're ready to go. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys tonight, Sports Jedi Nation. We're hitting it a quick heart out. We want to thank everyone that joined us on this live afternoon stream. This is the Sports Jedi Network, and this is a community run by True Fan Energy. This stream is proudly sponsored by Dude Wipes. Stay fresh, stay clean, stay match ready. Dude Wipes on the Sports Jedi Network. We're wiping out the competition, stream at a time. And, of course, don't forget, hit our promo code, guys. And also, we are powered by Blackout Coffee. Wake up, stand up, never back down. 100% American company that stands for God, family, and freedom. Head to blackcoffee.com, Rumba. Use the code Rumba, or use my promo code, SportsJedi20, and save 20% off. And if you enjoy this stream, please, we ask you, we urge you, we plead you hit that like, subscribe, and join us on our Discord. Let's keep the conversation going on our Discord. All that is in the video description. And for PGH Chris and I am BX Sports Jedi Kev, until next time, stay ready, stay fresh, and may the sports be with you, and may the takes be with you. We out, ladies and gentlemen. Buenas tardes. Me Dios lo bendiga a todos.
Represento las calles de mi tierra.